10 players on the injured list to start this season. Washington Nationals got their season finally underway today, and it ended on last licks.
Smith, the lefty, sets. Runners lead first and second. The pitch. Swing it away, driving to center field, a base hit. Robles to third, it gets by, Pache to the wall. Robles coming in to score. And an opening day, Curly W is in the books.
Juan Soto, your walk-off winner, as heard on the Nationals radio network. Nats win at 6-5 despite 4 home runs from the Braves. It's on ESPN, Mets and Phillies, as they play the 6, 2-1 New York up top. A Dom Smith 2-run home run, the difference. How about the Reds up 14-1 on the Pirates in the 7? Tyler Naquin, 2 home runs, 3 hits, 7 knocked in for Cincinnati. Padres shortstop Fernando Tatis Jr. placed on the injured list. Team hoping he can rejoin them in 10 days. He has a slight labrum tear in his shoulder. No surgery needed. Astros double the Angels today, 4-2. Carlos Correa's 2-run home run in the 9th, your winner. Akil Baddoo, your winner in the 10th. Tigers take the Twins 4-3. The Nets' big three has started only 6 games together. You have to wonder how many more. Guard James Harden will miss at least 10 games with a right hamstring strain. Kevin Durant and his hamstring strain probable to return tomorrow against the Pels. On the floor, Joel Embiid has 15, Sixers up 13 on the Celtics at the break. Lakers all over the Raptors at the half, 68-42.
Coming up Wednesday, after seeing what the Jets got for the Sam Darnold trade, did the Rams get fleeced in the Matt Stafford deal? You'll hear exactly what we think on Wednesday on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Isn't this a sports show?
Rudy, can you be the reporter, as you're uniquely qualified to be?
Sure.
Can you be the reporter asking me about the events that were happening at late night as Snoop Dogg was saying curse words, saying naughty words, and having a money gun and stripper poles?
Almost entirely.
Mr. Jeff Long, sir, how could you allow these atrocious acts to happen?
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Atrocious. I'm going to need you to atrocious acts. What atrocious acts are you referring to?
The children were scarred. Sir.
In what regard? In what way? Excuse you. What's your name? What's your name?
My name is Joshua Brisco with an E.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
I want your boss's business card. I'm going to make a phone call. I'm Jeff Bleepin' Long. I'm the athletic director at the University of Kansas. You will not question my judgment. You will do no such thing. You know where you're going to have to go? Miles away from here. You're going to have miles to go. On ESPN Plus, I'm Jeff Long.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Oh, boy, do we have a lot of things to talk about, and really just about an hour to do it. Welcome in to tonight's Almost Entirely Sports. I say an hour because we've only got 2 for you tonight. And Seth Keysor will join us for a Seth Keysor Tuesday here in an hour. And we know that Seth is long-winded, I'm long-winded, and we enjoy hearing both the sounds of our own and each other's voices. So we've got a lot to cover within the next 60 minutes here. A whole weekend plus of action. We've got a bunch of Royals things we can talk about. They're off tonight. We got the Final Four, which was, well, half unwatchable, half incredible, then a national championship game that was, but at least a pretty interesting takeaway from it. A couple of Chiefs things. We may have to wait till we get to Seth to get really into Chiefs talk for the night. I have a finalized Final Four for the Poker Bracket. The people have spoken, and the Elite Eight is finished. The Final Four I have, it is not officially out yet on Twitter, but I will break that news here coming up in a little while. I have hashtag personal news, a development off the field, as you may say, from yesterday.
In what regard?
Rudy, the KU's new athletic director. I feel like I should have mentioned on at the top, given the way the show started. Rudy needs a new display name. Sam Darnold got traded and does not have mono. Yet, as of right now. Paul Pierce got fired.
Once you get mono, you become immune to it, right? Like, isn't mono like a one-time thing? Or is that chicken pox?
I think that is true, and I think Sam Darnold got it in New York because he knew he wanted to save all of his good genes, his good immune system for his next destination. He's in Carolina.
Smart play.
There's simply a lot. There's Beards, I don't know if you saw this. There's a lot more information about the Borderlands movie.
Oh, and I didn't know Paul Pierce got fired.
Paul Pierce did, in fact, get fired.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I assumed that was coming. Didn't know it was coming. Didn't know that happened.
He was stripped of his duties.
He had one of the greatest tweets of all time.
He was punished bluntly.
I don't know if you saw it it was midway through the Final Four. He just tweets "Good morning."
And that's the truth.
All-time great tweet.
Comedy comes in threes, so just much like Paul Pierce's shots. And his vices, I think, because that was wild. There's just a lot, man. There's just a lot to talk about, but also, and as is the case in some of our best shows, I don't know that any of it is clearly the biggest thing, the thing we have to start with. I'm going to start with college basketball, because here's, once again, the truth. It's going to take a minute before we talk about college basketball again. And so I want to talk about both the Final Four and the national championship game. Because obviously we weren't on last night because the game was here, and then over the weekend didn't really talk much about the Final Four because I was doing baseball shows. Well, Boulevard Baseball tonight, back on the airwaves over the weekend.
Didn't really hit that Final Four on a Sunday.
Curtis
show.
actually did mention it. Curtis did bring it up on Sunday, which was good.
Good for Curtis.
Talking to Curtis, truly a joy. I think he's the only person on the face of the planet that appreciated that. I believe it was in Saturday's Royals game. Was that the singer start?
Saturday was Duffy.
No, Duffy was yesterday.
Duffy was yesterday.
Minor. It was Mike Minor.
No.
It was in Mike Minor's start.
Yes.
Mike Minor's start
Days are blending.
It's tough. Was Mike
I
Minor?
thought Saturday was like 2 days ago.
Yesterday was Duffy.
Tuesday.
Mike Minor's start was followed up by 4 consecutive pitchers whose names started with the letter J.
Ooh.
I don't remember. There was Jesse Hahn. It doesn't matter. Jake Brentz was out there for his debut, I think.
Jacob Junis.
Junis was out there for, I think he was the first one out of the pen. I mean, I literally have the page open. I could just look at it and confirm this.
Dreg Jolland.
Jake Junis, Jake Brentz, Jesse Hahn, Josh Stallman were the 4 that followed Mike Minor. And I just noticed that while I was talking to Curtis on Sunday. And I was like, hey, Curtis, you're the only person that's going to give one flying bleep about this, but I think it's fun. Also, the Rangers in that game had 2 J's that pitched in the game. It was a 6J pitcher game. Lots of J's on the mound. And that's where we start the show today. How cool is that? No, but Curtis did bring up the Final Four on that show. You ask facetiously, I answer seriously, Rudy. But here's the incredible dichotomy of how the college basketball season ended. Baylor Houston was so over that I was watching the end of the Royals game, and then I was waiting through the Royals had like 5 dudes talk after that game, and so I just was on the Royals post-game Zoom feed for an hour, barely watching Baylor Houston, and by the time that got done, it was a 20-point game or something. And then after that night I did a little Twitch stream, had a good time, which also meant I was watching the end of the Final Four game on Twitch. I need to go clip that later on. I might try to do that tomorrow so you can see what happened to me as I was watching. It was, as someone that was not really emotionally invested in the game, Jalen Suggs hitting that 3 on the run, perfectly on the line, but off the backboard. I was also watching it on an antenna, and everybody else in my Discord was watching it on various streams, so I was trying not to freak out. I nearly fell out of my chair. There are few things as good as a buzzer beater in overtime to go to the championship game, run up on the table, pull your shirt up, show everybody your abs. Just an incredible moment. But the crazy thing is UCLA, 11 seed, and a good team, right? Obviously. Want to give them plenty of respect so Rudy doesn't derail the show.
I mean, led by a greatest player in UCLA and Kentucky history.
UCLA, an 11 seed, takes Georgia all the way to the wire. And I think everyone just went like, yeah, that's a great game by UCLA, playing their best, whatever. and Houston kind of fraudulent as Baylor blows them the bleep out. I watched both of those games, kind of thought both of those things, and still thought by national championship game time, Gonzaga's probably going to complete their undefeated season. They're probably going to do the thing. Just paying absolutely no attention to what had happened 2 nights before. And Baylor absolutely blew the doors off of Gonzaga.
From the get-go.
Out of the gate.
That was a game where it was from minute 1 to minute 40. Or just second 1 to minute 40. Baylor was just dominating.
I think it was a 10-point game at halftime, which felt like a miracle.
It dipped to 9 a couple times.
Yeah, they got it within single. I remember because I was, again, watching that on Antenna, and some people on Twitter, I think, were watching it on streams. And there were a couple of times where someone had tweeted like single digits, and by the time I saw that tweet, it was no longer single digits. So you're right, especially at the half and into the second half, there were a couple of times when you went, oh, you know what? Maybe here comes the Gonzaga run. And every single time, Baylor put an immediate stop to it. It was unbelievable. It was, in a way, I would have loved the overtime game with the last second shot, but it was kind of beautiful to watch because there was simply, this is so rare in sports, especially college basketball. There was simply no question who the best team on that floor was and who should have been crowned the best team in college basketball. Really, because, Gonzaga being undefeated obviously is a tremendous badge of honor and whatnot. And rightfully so. Gonzaga also extremely good. The second best team in college basketball this year, also incredibly rare. That almost never happens. Yeah. But even the times that Baylor stubbed their toe, whenever KU beat Baylor, they were still sort of operating in and out of this COVID fog where they have this, huge amount of time off and just having to navigate that. That's when Baylor looked fallible, right? Before that, they looked, at the very least, like completely equal peers at the very top of the country with Gonzaga. But seeing them actually go head-to-head in that game and having it play out that way was interestingly, it was a strangely, I think, what will be remembered as a strangely memorable, dominant performance, like a strangely memorable blowout. I saw a few people compare it to the Super Bowl on Twitter, which I didn't care for very much.
I don't understand that comparison. Doesn't make sense to me.
I don't either. Because we can go around the room real quick. Last Super Bowl I remember was Chiefs-Niners.
Boy, what a great Super Bowl that was.
Super Bowl champion.
Right, yeah. That's the last Super Bowl that I think, because COVID canceled this year's Super Bowl.
It did.
The Chiefs and the Buccaneers won the conference championship games, and then they called off the Super Bowl because,
COVID.
All of the Bucs had COVID.
Yeah. And all the Chiefs did. It was that's why it was a neutral, there was no game. It was a no contest, not a forfeiting one way or the other. That's how I remember things.
Yeah.
But because I also saw somebody at one point say, like, how there are close games that don't feel like particularly good games. Mm-hmm. One of the Elite Eight games was that. I can't remember off the top of my head which one it was. But there one of those Elite Eight games was just, I think it might have been Loyola, where it was just like they had 20 points at halftime.
Oh, Loyola, Oregon State.
I think
that was Sweet 16.
It was,
right?
And that might be what I'm thinking.
Loyola had though, like in the Sweet 16 against Oregon State, because it was like 20. They scored like 2 points in the first like 4 minutes of the game. They lost to Oregon State 65-58. At halftime, they had like 20. It was a bad basketball game.
There was also the USC Oregon game, which was a 20 points at half almost.
Houston Oregon State was close. Not great. That was an Elite Eight game.
But anyway.
67-61.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it was, one of those games was just kind of a stinker, even though it was close. I think
maybe UCLA Michigan. That was 51-49. Nobody was scoring in that game.
That also might have been it, actually.
Johnny Juzang had 55% of UCLA's points in that game.
Oh, you know what? That's not what I was thinking of, but that one counts.
It was such a bad offensive game.
Yeah, no, that one also would very much qualify. I do think it was Loyola Oregon State. It doesn't matter. Regardless.
Loyola Chicago did have like 20 points at halftime in that game.
There were games at the tournament that were close, that were not terribly good basketball, not terribly exciting, not terribly fun to watch.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about the national championship game last night is it was never really close, but it was always entertaining because it was just, I haven't seen Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Kong yet. I'm not totally sure.
Have not yet either.
But it seemed,
at some point.
I'll probably watch it at some point. Although Scott Chasen has given it, he told me that he was incredibly confused because apparently you need to know about like the Godzilla Kong cinematic universe, which I didn't expect. I don't know. Well,
I say that because
we'll consult him momentarily.
They've made Godzilla movies recently that I think are part of the whole.
Yeah, and I just don't really want to work that hard though.
It's
There's Kong Skull Island.
Yeah,
there's the Bryan Cranston Godzilla, which I have seen. Then there's the
Godzilla
after that.
There's the
one.
Godzilla War of the Monsters?
Something
Monsters
like that.
War
Monsters
Monsters?
Incorporated Godzilla.
Yeah. And they're like a trilogy, but like kind of not, but they kind of are. It's weird.
I don't know how Godzilla versus Kong plays out, but this game, but Gonzaga Baylor had sort of the feel of
friendly
like
draw.
of maybe a handshake.
It's a handshake.
I think Baylor Gonzaga had a little bit of a superhero movie kind of feel for me, where it's like it's pretty clear who's gonna win at the end of this thing, but I'm having a pretty good time watching them punch each other for 2 hours in the meantime. That's kind of how it felt. Because even though Suggs was in foul trouble early, and again, this game should have been better than it actually was, but it wasn't particularly close. But I did feel like I was watching the best thing that college basketball had to offer over the course of this season. It wasn't the best game of the tournament. It wasn't the best basketball that's ever been played, but it wasn't the best game flow or whatever. But it was close. It was basically the same margin, and I don't know. I enjoyed it, and you're not going to find me very often coming up with reasons that I enjoyed a college basketball blowout.
Because there was actual offense.
That's probably also it. That's probably also it. Where
it was legitimate offense and not the poo-poo that we usually get from college basketball.
So I didn't get to see the championship game because I was at girlfriend Renee's house over Easter. But at least like the final four teams basically in the women's tournament, I felt that way of like, oh, I don't really care what the score is here. I feel like I'm watching really good basketball that I'm just kind of hanging out and enjoying. Where not everything is painful, which is the case throughout. I'll just say a lot of college basketball across the board of the Loyola, Oregon State variety, etc. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Also, I will check in now on the Almost Entirely Sports Bracket Challenge pool because we need to check in on that here.
Gonzaga would have won. I would have won it, but I dropped to third because Baylor had won.
So here's what happened.
I also would have finished third out of like 4,200 people in the A-10 one. It was Gonzaga had won, but because they lost, I dropped.
Here's what happened.
Well, if I'd have done better, I would have been first.
Here's what happened.
That's the thing. I did good. I just needed Gonzaga to beat Baylor.
I got to explain this to people.
I did good. Finished third.
You did well.
Third's pretty good.
Yeah, but you did well.
I did good.
Well.
Good.
So T-Flow 98, the champion of the Almost Entirely Sports Bracket Challenge. I only care about football. Got second place, and maybe you should start spending your money a little differently. Both of them nailed their Final Fours. Or no, that can't be right. They nailed the championship game, I believe is what that means. That's right. Yes, because so did I.
Baylor.
And so did you. But those two people at the very top of the ladder there, they both had Baylor over Gonzaga, and that took their bracket over the top. Not that Rudy.
Yeah.
100 points behind those two brackets there. Would have won the bracket challenge in our group if Gonzaga would have won.
Just one more game.
I finished tied for 7th. Similar predicament. I would have finished tied for 4th, I believe, or 5th if Gonzaga would have won, but they didn't. Baylor did. Let me find the most important sort of what was the talent side of the 8-10 bracket challenge? Have you found that?
Yeah, so the talent side was
hold
I assume
on.
already found it. Anyways,
I had
I
the breaking
won.
news sound whenever you get a second, Beards.
I won the talent side. Josh, you finished in second place. I was like 90th overall out
I'll
of
take that.
4,200 people. You were like 250 out of the 4,200.
I'll take that 100%.
It's a good day. It's a good showing.
In 56th place in the Almost Entirely Sports Bracket Challenge, Dr. Professor. In 58th place, Richard Justice the Dog. In 62nd place, Chloe Brisco Bracketology. And in last place among brackets that didn't have Colgate winning at all, as I will note that Iced Pyro did have the actual worst bracket, and he didn't even score any points out of the second round. I believe the goal for Iced Pyro was to have one of the worst brackets in America. He succeeded at that. Shout out to Iced Pyro for your worst bracket. But the very last place bracket in the Almost Entirely Sports Bracket Challenge, with a total of 340 points, which is the equivalent of getting the national champion right and then 2 first-round games, behind an improv character, a stuffed dog, and an uninterested 11-year-old, Beards McFly!
Thank you.
Speech.
Listen, Illinois, you really let me down. Ohio State, what the hell?
Basketball expert.
So here's what I love. I'm gonna try to get a few details here because this just absolutely rocks my world. So Chloe's Final Four was Oregon, a 7 seed, Maryland, a 10 seed, Florida, a 7 seed, and Houston, and Drexel, a 16 seed. Okay? Those were her Final Four teams. Beards had a 2, a 3, a 5, and a 1. Beards at least had like 2 or 3 plausible picks and a little bit of a curveball with Villanova. I'll give you that one. And Beards, you lost to all of them!
Yep.
You did not get. Let me double check this. I want to make sure I get that. I don't want to drag your name through the. You did not get a single Elite 8 team.
Nope.
Oh my good, not one?
Nope.
Why did you think Gonzaga and Baylor were gonna lose?
No, sorry. Hold on. He got Gonzaga.
I was gonna say, like,
Beards is Elite 8, and I'm not sure how the points in this work. So he didn't get a single Final Four team, obviously. No. Beards' Elite 8 were Gonzaga, ding, Iowa, Villanova, Ohio State, Michigan, ding,
hey.
Texas, Illinois, San Diego State. So he did get 2 Elite 8 teams. He didn't get any points in the round of the Elite 8. That's the scoring system there. Nor did Chloe, for that matter. So this is actually, you know what? Here's my favorite part about this. I would say that the first round is probably the one that's most indicative of, like, if you're paying attention or not. But you're going to get your most of your chalk, but you'll have a few upsets in the 7 or 10, 8, 9 kind of matchups and everything. Chloe destroyed you in the first round, Beards. 220 to 140. You guys tied in the round of 32, and you actually picked up a few points in the Sweet 16. And it wasn't enough because Chloe actually got 220 points out of the first round. That was pretty good among the bracket challenge. That's what I got in the first round. Rudy got 1 extra game. But you got to get the champion right.
You do.
And
That you do.
And only 2 people in our bracket challenge did that.
Only 2 people had the Baylor?
Or 3.
Oh, wow.
3 people, 4 people.
It's a little surprising.
4 people in our bracket challenge had Baylor. Yeah, one of the 1 seeds.
Yeah.
The second best team in the country, 4 people picked.
I'm guessing that's because of obviously with the Baylor dealing with their COVID issues. Like here's the thing. Like they were not able to not just play, but not practice for like 3 weeks is what it was. Like 2 to 3 weeks. It's. I think that's one thing that I think maybe that kind of threw people off. Like you got into the tournament, it's like, hey, Baylor's not playing great.
They're going
to fall short. You know what? By the time they got to the tournament, like they were back to being Baylor. And I kind of thought that, but I just didn't think Baylor being back to being Baylor was going to just roll Gonzaga.
And Beards got back to being Beards.
I'd say he never really stopped.
New year, same Beards, baby. Unbelievable Beards. Just a full... Can I get a round of applause, please? Beards McFly, an incredible performance to be literally the worst among us.
Oh, thank you.
At predicting college basketball. Worse than an improv character, a stuffed dog, and an uninterested 11-year-old. May you live forever, Beards. Long live the Beards. Hear, hear.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
Hey, it's Todd Lebo here for CertaPro Painters. They've done great work at my house. Inside, outside, it's always great. From the estimate to the prep work to the cleanup, worry-free all the way. Give them a call for a free estimate, 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's 1-800-GO-CERTA, or go to CertaPro.com for more information. Now is a great time to update your home. There's no reason to wait. Call 1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com today to experience the CertaPro Painters difference for yourself. It's CertaPro Painters, proven and trusted experts in painting.
Hey everyone, Les Norman here, host of the Breaking the Norm show. Since '95, I've made KC my home, and since then, I've seen a World Series champion in 15, a Super Bowl champion in 20, and the greatest fans supporting both. It's the people that make me proud to call KC home. You're passionate about your teams and each other. During this crazy time, keep caring for and loving each other. And thank you for making KC not only the greatest sports city, but also the most caring and helpful place to watch sports. Stay healthy, be safe, don't panic, and keep loving each other well.
If you could create your dream engagement ring, what would it look like? Come to Shane Company and let us help you bring your vision to life. You'll be delighted when you see our selection of unique ring settings, designed in-house and meticulously crafted to look beautiful from every angle, in platinum, yellow gold, white gold, and our signature shade of rose gold. In addition to the classics, we have trending styles, stunning halo designs, including popular hidden halos, elegant floral rings, intricate vintage looks, Art Deco designs, and more. For your center stone, choose a sparkling diamond in your favorite shape, or perhaps a vibrant ruby or colorful sapphire. Our sapphires come in over a dozen colors, like cognac, raspberry, and blue-green. All our stones are natural, ethically sourced, and hand-picked for their beauty. We can't wait to help you bring your vision to life. This ring represents your love story. Why not make it perfect?
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
You hear all the time about Diamonds Direct's prices and selection and warranties. All true, and all good reasons to give us a visit. But what really sets Diamonds Direct apart is something that's hard to put into words. But you will feel it. You'll know it from the minute you walk in. It's our unique culture, our passion, our genuine and absolute desire to totally revolutionize the way you experience jewelry shopping. It's why we do what we do. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Hi Royals fans, this is Dayton Moore. The very same experts who treat the Royals can treat you too. Whether you're into sports or into your kids, you can count on the specialists at the University of Kansas Health System Sports Medicine and Performance Center. From injury prevention to sports performance to leading-edge treatments, they'll keep you at the top of your game. Whatever it may be, you deserve the Royals treatment. For an appointment, visit royalstreatment.com.
Schlotzsky's has just what you need to start the new year out right. All of their sandwiches and pizzas are made with their baked fresh from scratch sourdough bread. At Schlotzsky's, they offer curbside, drive-through, socially distanced dine-in, catering, and delivery. And remember, the Schlotzsky's $24.99 lunch and dinner special for a family of 4. Any 4 medium sandwiches or pizzas with 4 chips and 4 cookies for just $24.99. Available at all 5 area Schlotzsky's. Funny name, serious sandwich. That's Schlotzsky's.
The American dream, home ownership. Now, is that true? Sometimes owning a house can be a problem, an ugly problem. Repairs, taxes, just mowing the yard. What we've learned is with every ugly problem, there's a beautiful solution. Let us be that solution. WeBuyUglyHouses.com. Call us today. We're the We Buy Ugly Houses people. 1-800-44-BUYER or WeBuyUglyHouses.com. Call us today. Get rid of that ugly problem. 1-800-44-BUYER. We're the real ugly house guys.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Did you just lose a cap of a pen?
Yep. It's gone forever. This pen's useless now.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I just saw this tweet from Mitchell Schwartz.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even talking about the tweet where I believe somebody last night tweeted about the bad officiating in a championship game, and I've never seen anything like that before.
I did see that tweet.
Mitchell Schwartz quote tweeted that and said, I guess you've never seen the Super Bowl. Never watched the Super Bowl last year.
He's obviously talking about when the Chiefs obviously got some favorable calls against the 49ers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was definitely that. But, so he's actually, I'll tell you what, Mitch Schwartz, if he wants to play football again, I hope he plays football again. If he gets healthy and maybe the Chiefs are interested, I hope he ends up a Chief again. I'm very much pro Mitch Schwartz. But as a silver lining, no matter what, as a, hedging our bets, a completely no longer needing to be a company man or whatever, like not reveal any secrets version of Mitch Schwartz would be great. Because he'll say some stuff, he's funny, likable, and super smart. There was definitely a point, Seth and I talked about this at some point last year. There was definitely a point where, like, after he was out for, like, 2 or 3 weeks, his tweets got less detailed during games as he was tweeting during games.
Yes.
Or it was like, clearly somebody was like, Mitch, you got it. You can't give away the game like this.
You gotta stop, Mitch.
He tweeted this out, I guess earlier tonight. Boy,
It's something.
It's something. You've made my mac and cheese recipe and have a bunch left over. What to do? Go full gluttony and make a double cheeseburger with fried mac and cheese buns. Can't tell me you wouldn't attempt to take a bite out of this one. Hashtag Chef Schwartz. Hashtag Mitch in the kitch. It is.
Oh boy. So
he's got a cross section. I've heard of mac and cheese on burgers.
It's a little hot in here.
You love it. I know. I am.
Whew.
This is a PG-13 photo at least. I have had fried mac and cheese balls.
I give this a solid MA. Mature eyes only.
I did not know what you meant. Now
kids, do not show this to your kids. This is not safe for work.
Kids, don't show this to your kids, you tiny parents. I've had fried mac and cheese balls. I've had mac and cheese on a burger. I think I've probably seen fried like a disc of fried mac and cheese on a burger. What this has done. Here's the cross section. He's got the cross section stacked. So I'm just gonna take one of them. It is a.
Is there an image of this on his Twitter?
There sure is.
Okay, I'll pull it up on the
not on the Unity Broadcasting Wi-Fi beards. Incognito tab beards. This is sultry.
Twitch is gonna shut us down now.
Oh no, you cannot. There's no way you can put this on Twitch beards. It is yes. This is
shut down so fast.
We're gonna get a strike from Twitch for putting, at the very least, food porn on the internet. It's simply unacceptable for the internet. The internet cannot have anything that's filthy on it. I've reported it as
you know what,
harmful on Twitter.
You know what? Sometimes the people need to see the harmful things. You know what, beards? Do it.
It is instead of there are no buns on the outside of this burger. It is a double cheeseburger with cheese between each level, and the bun has been replaced with a patty of fried mac and cheese that just looks
perfect.
Sinful, but also elegant.
It looks perfect.
Decadent, but also devilish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, It's nice to know that Mitch Schwartz will always have a place in the heart of Kansas City, right next to this clogged artery that I'm going to get after I make this food.
Now, if I end up in the hospital due to like triple bypass, is he liable? Like, I mean, here's the thing. If I'm being honest, though, I wouldn't because
Mitch Schwartz? Come on.
This is a gift. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I'm not out here trying to bring down good people.
Yeah, listen, he's letting his light shine, okay? Don't take this from him.
I never.
DJ on Twitch says, I for one find it to look disgusting. DJ, listen, man.
You know what, DJ?
Different strokes for different folks. I don't want to yuck anybody else's yum. I understand all this. But I don't want to tell you what you need to like. But if you can tell me you don't want to at least try it, I'm not saying you should eat this for breakfast every day, all right?
No.
This is for special occasions.
This is
Whenever
a treat.
you turn off all the lights in your house, you light one candle, and you make sure that none of your friends, family, or God can see you eat it.
So this is like the bird. I've talked about this. I never remember the name of the bird, but I've talked about it on the show many times that you have to eat underneath like a napkin because you eat the bird whole because it's so small. Its bones just like you just eat it bones and all.
You have
and so you have to hide yourself from God because it's just like such a disgrace that you would eat such a beautiful small thing. It's the same thing with this. You put a napkin, a towel, whatever you want to call it. You put it over your head, and you eat this in peace by yourself.
Yeah.
And I guess if nobody's home, you don't have to put the napkin on, but I still would. It's part of the experience. He said he's not a beef fan.
DJ on Twitch said that. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
That's fine.
DJ
Oh,
is
by
not
the
a
way,
beef fan.
you're
missing out, DJ.
Here's the other important food thing. I'm gonna try to pull this up to get this exactly precisely correct. But Austin Blythe had his introductory press conference, and we've talked about this recently. I think it was a Dead to the Show friend of the show who had tweeted at one point about how all you need to do to be immediately beloved in Kansas City as an incoming player is to just talk about like how Mitch Schwartz took you to Q39 and you loved it, right? You do that, and that's gonna show up in every single writer's piece. Mm-hmm. We'll play the audio on the radio. It's gonna be in every TV package. Every TV package. And you're immediately beloved because you're the football player that just got here and loves Kansas City barbecue. Also, Austin Blythe apparently like grew up around Kansas City, like and was a Chiefs fan and everything.
Really? I didn't know that.
Matt Derrick tweeted this during the press conference of Austin Blythe. For the obligatory barbecue question, new Chiefs offensive lineman Austin Blythe says he's not a big barbecue fan, but he does like pulled pork without sauce. To me, that's an acceptable answer. It's not like he said he likes St. Louis, Brooklyn, or Texas barbecue.
I mean, acceptable is a strong word. It's an answer.
Listen.
It's
Austin,
better than saying you like St. Louis barbecue better.
Austin, if you're out there, honestly, Chiefs PR, if you're out there, listen, I will publicly offer my services to you. Let me help you, help them, help Kansas City. This is an absolutely must-lie situation if you're Austin Blythe. And they just need to know that. You got to say, all right, here's what we're doing. You're answering these questions, not these questions. You can say this, not that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if they ask you about barbecue, you say your mama put barbecue sauce in your baby bottle. You say that you eat ribs for breakfast. Yep. You say that you have 2 fewer ribs than the average American. I guess just human being. I don't think that changes by geography. You have 2 fewer ribs than the average human being. However many that would be. And it's because you had them surgically removed and preserved so you could barbecue your own ribs because you wanted to know what they would taste like. You tell them that you don't go to Q39. You go to Q40. It's the secret one that's better. Joe's? Oh, yeah. I've got one in my backyard. The house that I'm staying in here, the house that I'm renting while I'm in Kansas City.
It's just Joe's.
It is within a scooter ride from a Joe's.
Arthur Bryant lives in my kitchen.
I live with Arthur Bryant. My house, I don't have any fences. You know what I do have? Just a whole bunch of gates. This isn't that hard, you guys. You got just lie. Just simply lie.
He's obviously never had Mitchell Schwartz's barbecue.
I honestly think Mitchell Schwartz might bring it to him. And you just chuck it over his shoulder like a unworthy. I mean, man, I'm worked up.
It's understandable.
What were you gonna say, Rudy? I didn't really have a spot to land
No,
mine.
just say Mitchell Schwartz should just make some barbecue and send it over to One Chiefs Way. Where's the One Chiefs Lane? I forget.
Listen,
you know
what we could do?
One Arrowhead Drive.
Here's our option.
That was close.
That we have.
It's like writing a letter to Santa. We just write Andy Reid on an envelope and put it in the mail.
We still have yet to do the Beards hasn't had burn ends, so we need to get Joe's and get those.
Yeah.
So
he clearly did not follow any of us on Twitter, because if he would have seen what happened to you whenever that admission came out.
Here's what I'm saying.
Right.
We can invite Austin Blythe in to have burn ends with us. There you go. Now he's saved, and we have a chief person that we, can go to now, and we also have barbecue.
I don't know if he's saved. He might not like it. He might not eat it.
At this point, I don't think he'd be saved by the blood of Jesus himself. I don't think there's any saving him. I think he is.
Is that blood like on some burn ends?
He needs to be bathed. He needs to be baptized in barbecue sauce.
Yeah, like if the blood of Jesus is marinating with some ribs for 48 hours, then he might be all right.
Boy, I'm having a really hard time finding the line between making jokes as a pastor's kid and straight up being heretical on the radio. It's a really tough one for me. I think we're good.
Just options.
He should say.
How good do you think Adam's rib was?
You got to get that one in sooner or later, Beards. I just don't think anybody heard that. Just say it again.
How good do you think Adam's rib was? What do you season that with?
I'm going to get there. Hold on. Some herbs, spices, some flavorful leaves.
Solid.
Thank you. Whenever Austin Blythe was asked about this question, he should have said that he has a shower in his home across the street from surrounded by gates across the street from Joe's.
Mm-hmm.
But in that shower, there is no shampoo, there is no conditioner, there is no body wash, there's no bar of soap.
But there's room for Arthur Bryant.
And Arthur Bryant can also hop in there. All of the little the little thingy that hangs over your shower head with your little basket for all your soaps and everything is just filled with various barbecue sauces.
Mm-hmm.
He shampoos with it. Get it up from those pits.
It'd be a little sticky.
Then you rinse it off afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
You rinse it off. You lather it up.
You marinate in it.
You're marinating
in it.
He got a house with a pool in the backyard, so he could make his own barbecue sauce in the pool and then cannonball into it every Saturday before a game this year. Alec Lewis just tweeted about Bobby Witt Jr.
I saw.
But he likes barbecue.
That man makes barbecue. I have no idea if Bobby Witt Jr.'s ever cooked a meal in his life. But if he went to
they're pretty good.
I have no idea. I don't know. But if he went to a barbecue competition, he'd take home first place.
Right now, the bottom,
First place.
the top remaining free agents are scrolling on the bottom of NFL Network right now, and 4 in a row were Mitchell Schwartz, Justin Houston, Melvin Ingram, Eric Fisher, and Austin Ryder, and seeing all 4 of those names back to back. Whew. We'll talk more about this. Bashad Breeland, still not signed. Really confusing. Very strange. We'll talk about a whole lot more of this with Seth Keysor in 15 minutes. In the meantime, because I'm a true Kansas Cityan, I'm going to go to the bathroom during the break here. I'll be back in time for the next segment, of course, Beards. But I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm gonna flush the toilet, and then on the barbecue sauce that we have in the toilet to flush everything, we'll flush things down. Like wash my hands under the faucet with a little bit of barbecue sauce, and then rinse it off with some barbecue sauce.
Take a little rib that's in that little basket in there to go.
Yeah. Do you want me to bring you guys one?
Oh my God, yes.
I'll bring you guys a rib. Rudy, I think our burnt-in fridge got restocked this morning. I can bring you a tub of burnt-ins. We can just eat with our hands like popcorn because that's what we have all the time.
Yeah. Who needs utensils?
Quitters, losers.
Exactly.
Texans, Tennesseans. Lincoln Riley. Did you see his brisket that he tweeted out on Easter?
You mean the piece of leather?
Listen, there was him, and then there was the senator from I think Texas that tweeted out his like a year ago.
One too.
Yeah.
I already tweeted this joke, so it's also again a very sort of spiritual segment as we talk, but it makes sense. We're talking about barbecue. I tweeted that I think Lincoln Riley's could be. Someone said like, which one would you rather eat? I think Lincoln Riley's very, very dry, leathery brisket could be redeemed with copious amounts of good barbecue sauce. Mm-hmm. I think to redeem that senator's barbecue, you would need a literal priest to just get the demons out of it because it looks like microwaved human flesh. It is god awful to look at. It looks like the worst meatloaf you've ever had, much less the worst brisket. Anyway, I'm gonna have a sip of my barbecue sauce out of this G Fuel shaker cup that I use to just to keep up appearances. We'll take a break whenever we come back. I got a story about what I did yesterday. Also, we may get to a little Royal stuff here or there. Seth Keysor on everything that the Chiefs offseason has and hasn't contained will come around here in about 10 minutes. Everybody do a barbecue shot, and we'll be right back.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
Some companies clean with soaps, some use chemicals, some simply soak your carpets and hope to rinse out the dirt, but not Zero Res. When I learned about Zero Res carpet cleaning and their powered water, I realized I had been settling for less. The Zero Res process actually breaks down the dirt, soils, and allergens, making them easier to remove. Get your home Zero Res clean. 3 rooms for just $119. Zero Res carpet and air ducts. It's the right way to clean. Online at ZeroResKC.com.
Libraries empower our communities. A Mid-Continent Public Library card can empower you to save money, start a new business, trace your family history, get your high school diploma, help a child learn how to read, and so much more. Celebrate National Library Week, April 4th through the 10th, and find out how Mid-Continent Public Library can empower you. Get your library card today and browse in person at any of their branches for your next great read. Visit mymcpl.org/empower to learn more.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a cash-out refi? It's using the equity in your home to pay off high-interest credit cards.
Paid it off! Yes!
I'm James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak Lending. With mortgage rates at a record low 1.875%, you can save hundreds each month and skip your next 2 payments. You'll pay nothing out of pocket, and we never charge for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan. And remember, our local lending experts speak mortgage and love translating for our customers. Eliminating debt means putting your dreams back on the table today.
Updated bathroom?
Updated bathroom and a pool table?
Don't push it, Rick.
Get started with our fast and easy zipline tool at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 1.875% fixed, 2.913% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit. JLB Corporation, 8595 College Boulevard, Overland Park, Kansas.
Foley Rental is your local equipment rental store for commercial, industrial, farm, and residential project needs with a large fleet of aerial lifts, generators, trench shoring, air conditioners, and concrete equipment. And Foley Rental offers a wide selection of machine attachments for skid steers, excavators, and loaders, all supported by over 400 certified technicians. Foley Rental, committed to you from the ground up. Call 855-RENT-FOLEY or visit FoleyRental.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. I played linebacker. I won a state championship. I played Division I ball. I know a thing or two about winning. The winning attitude starts with confidence. My law firm is so confident in what we do that if we take your injury case and we don't win, you don't pay us a dime. So if you've been hurt, call me. My team wants to win for you. I've got this.
Mike's got this, all you need to know. 816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. Don't take on the IRS alone. If you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. The experts at Optima specialize in a powerful IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative. And their clients that qualify are saving thousands, even tens of thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS from targeting you. But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima now for your free consultation.
Call 800-259-8642. 800-259-8642. 800-259-8642.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Do you think all of these guys from coastal colleges or like Travis Kelce with a big city personality, they want to be in Kansas City?
With Joshua Brisco.
It's not about Kansas City. It's about the organization and not feel like you're being held hostage.
But that barbecue, though.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
That liner makes me uncomfortable every time because I'm annoyed by my own voice in that one. And it also sounds like I'm anti-Kansas City. In reality, I think I was making a point, probably, about the Chiefs organization. It's all, I don't know, but it just ended up basically with that barbecue dough. And that's apparently not even it for Austin Blythe. Unacceptable. I wanted to mention this on the show tonight. Because one of my particular long national nightmares has ended. If you followed this show over the years, really, you will know that every car I touch turns to poop. It's the opposite of the Midas touch. It's just been I've had some cars that I got at good deals or good prices for me at the time and everything, but it's just always eventually ended up just disintegrating. And so, like, in bringing problems that just, either cost me money or caused me some various form of concern. It was super stressful and super annoying. And I have since remedied this problem. They are not, like, sponsoring this segment or this show or anything, but I wanted to say thanks to the people at Victory Ford who have worked with the station a number of times, a number of places. But just as a free, hey, hashtag not an ad, specifically, Brian reached out a while ago and said, hey, if I can help you out, help you get into a car that's going to get you places successfully, let me know. That was a long time ago. I've been kind of keeping an eye out for something within my budget that would work for me that also is like something that I like driving and I'm excited about and everything. Brian Pringle's the GM at Victory Ford. He reached out a long time ago. And then I have to shout out Jason and Dan also, who helped me get more information about the shiny new, to me, 2013 Ford Focus. It's currently sitting in the parking lot here in Broadcasting, next to, I believe, Rudy's 2012 Ford Focus.
Yes.
Also, Tucker D. Franklin, the little Chiefs boy, also a Focus.
Yeah, 2012.
We have three Foci, which is actually the plural and not something you need to dump.
It is, don't worry.
Not an FCC violation.
Good, solid car.
It's great. I'm extremely happy about it, and I was just so glad throughout the process. All of them were great, and I have something that I'm not sure I've ever really had around any of my vehicles, which is a genuine peace of mind that it's a good car that was looked at by all of their mechanics, and they fixed the stuff that was a problem whenever they got the car. They fixed it and brought it back to me and said, here's what we can get you to this price, and then do you want to do this warranty because bleep happens, and for me, lots of bleep has happened to my cars for a very long time. I got a price on that I was comfortable with. I got a price on the car that fit my budget. It's got significantly fewer miles than my last car did, and I'm just very excited about it. And I had a genuinely wonderful experience. I've never bought a car at a dealership before. I just had a very, very, very good time and a good process. It was never like, super like high intensity, like crazy, pressured. Am I going to get this figured out? Are we going to arm wrestle over these $7? I was able to trade in my Volvo, and they'll figure it out and they'll fix it up, and then hopefully they're able to get it to a point where somebody else can get a few more miles out of that. It was all just wonderful. So specifically to Brian, Jason, and Dan at Victory Ford, a gold star of approval from me. And if you're in the market, go look at their website and tell them Josh sent you. That will make no sense unless you talk to one of those three guys, and then maybe they'll know.
They'll do the Josh,
yeah, Josh.
Guy with the
Brisco,
the E at the end of his last
Josh
name.
Brisco with an E. So I'm very excited about that. I also hate spending car amounts of money. I don't enjoy doing that. But I've noticed over these last 24 hours or so, I just feel great because I know my car was going to get me to work to do this radio show. So thank you to everybody at Victory Ford. You guys made that easy and a really wonderful experience. Seth Keysor is next.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Do you follow Sports Radio 810 on social media? This is your reminder to give us a follow and hit that subscribe button on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Sports Radio 810. Follow along for breaking news as it happens, live coverage of press conferences, analysis and reporting from top local and national experts, fan videos, and on-the-ground coverage of your favorite local teams, as well as the best sporting events and athletes in the country. Turn on your notifications so that you never miss a beat, and follow the leader at Sports Radio 810.
It's April, and it's time to get yourself moving again so you can be fit and healthy by summer. This is Stephen St. John, and with NJ Diet, it only takes 40 days to lose 20 to 40-plus pounds. Their contractually guaranteed money-back program starts with bioenergetically personalized supplements based on your hair, saliva, and blood work. Then, NJ Diet uses DNA testing to create your ideal diet plan and workout regimen to help you keep it off for the rest of your life. Not sure if you can do it alone? Well, NJ Diet is with you every step of the way. You're going to be fully monitored by their certified staff to make sure you're burning fat and not just losing water, so you'll have peace of mind. You'll also have access to the doctor's personal email and phone number. NJ Diet is committed to helping you keep the weight off. No shots, no hormones, no surgery. They have offices close by in Overland Park, and they are available with live online video consultations from home. Call today, 855-5NJ-DIET, or log on to njdiet.com. Go to njdiet.com and lose the weight for good.
When you're thinking about New Orleans, why not let jazz cook for you?
Laissez le bon temps rouler. Let the good times roll. That's what we do at Jazz. Papa Vic here to tell you about what's happening at your favorite restaurant, Jazz, a Louisiana kitchen. COVID still got you down? No worries. We're open. Come in and let Jazz cook for you. We've partnered with Proactive Protect to provide nanotechnology protection that sanitizes all our tables, chairs, and the interior of the restaurant. So come on in. Everybody is safe. Tired of your mama's cooking? Check out our website, jazzkitchens.com, and place your order online or through Menufy. Not comfortable coming in? Check out our dedicated curbside parking spots, and we'll bring the taste of New Orleans to your car. 3 locations, the original at 39th and State Line, and at Legends of Village West, our newest location in Independence at I-70 and 291, just east of the Cable Dahmer Arena. Jazz, with a Dixieland band and a sultry day and everybody.
Jazz, if you're dreaming about New Orleans, let Jazz do your cooking up for you.
Jazz, where there's always a party every night.
You can keep your grass green and lush all year long with a new sprinkler system from Summit Lawn and Landscape. Call Summit Lawn and Landscape today at 816-966-9434 to design a water-efficient system for your home and never drag a hose again. 816-966-9434. Summit Lawn and Landscape provides complete lawn maintenance, including mowing, fertilization, and landscape installation, maintenance, and design. Call 816-966-9434 or go to summitlawn.com.
Hey, Kansas City, if you want to lose those pandemic pounds, sign up to be a part of the Border Patrol Weight Loss Challenge by sending an email to proteinhouse@810whb.com. I'm going to pick a winner. Jake's going to pick a winner. Nate's going to pick a winner. And we're going to find out who can lose the most weight on the Protein House meal plan. You'll get your meals taken care of for a month, and you'll watch the pounds fall off. Send an email, 81 words or less, and tell us why you should be a part of the Border Patrol Weight Loss Challenge. Protein House at 810whb.com.
Kansas City's hometown sports station, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
If you throw it out there that we have to have a good April, we have to get out of the gate well. And then all of a sudden you're playing extremely well, but maybe wins and losses, it doesn't work out quite right. You're basically telling your club that you're done.
When you want the latest on your favorite teams, tune into your hometown radio station, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Kansas City's favorite sports station, 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
Now it's time for very serious football talk with the man who met his wife on a blind date, chaperoned by his parents.
They actually came along on the first date with us. There was a... No! I rode in the back seat. I was 22.
The man who needs to take a minute to remember the names of all of his children.
Do all of your kids have the same first letter?
No, actually. Let me think. Do any of them? Tucker, Mason, Cole, Isabel, and Lucas.
The man who can defend you in court, but will probably choose not to.
I'll cop to this on a public setting right now. I am an aggressive cuddler in a consensual sense.
Comma, officer.
Good grief, he's a pastor too? When does this guy sleep?
You will find Seth Keysor everywhere except for in his or your bed, because not only does he not sleep, he's also a faithful husband. So that's important.
It's Seth Keysor of The Athletic on Almost Entirely Sports.
Not that anything of particular note has happened over the last several days, but it's still a Tuesday, and on Tuesdays, we talk to Seth Keysor of the Chief of the North newsletter and on The Athletic. Also, people are about to hear something. In fact, Seth, why don't you just say hi?
Hello.
What's that? Seth in HD, Seth in 4K. I'm just going to acknowledge it right here, and then we're not going to bring it up or explain it at any point from this point forward. But we're getting high-definition Seth audio. He is not in the building, I will say that. He is not in Kansas City, because if he was, I would be getting tased right now, and that is not the thing that's happening.
Man, that would be the mid... You know how, like, with the Marvel movies, they've got, like, the mid-credits roll?
Oh.
The mid-opening roll would be just pain. Of course, I've got to eat a ghost pepper, so I don't know, but it's coming like a freight train. I mean, nature is healing. The world is starting to open up a little bit more. I assume I'm going to make it to Kansas City at some point this year to take in a Chiefs game. Obviously, see you and Nate, and have to eat a ghost pepper. I cannot believe I'm going to ruin a trip to Kansas City doing this. And you and I really do need to talk about whether or not that I can do that one via some sort of Zoom thing you and I do together, because I would really like to be at home. I have read up on this, and I think I need to be at home, but I understand if you want to be there in person to watch me writhe in agony. So
here's the thing. This is where I'm at right now. And by the way, like, I'm very glad you brought this up, because as I said, it's the Chiefs didn't, trade for Orlando Brown. If you're a Times Arts listener, that's even funnier. But we pretty much talked. I think we talked on Thursday last week, and that's when pretty much the most recent bits of Chiefs news came. So let's litigate this a little bit. So my thought just now is, if you're new to the show, I said before the draft last year that if the Chiefs took a running back in the first round, I would be shocked, literally.
Yes.
And that Seth could tase me if that happened. And then Seth said, really for no reason whatsoever, no one was asking for this, said if Aaron Rodgers calls Jordan Love after the Packers drafted Jordan Love, I'll eat a ghost pepper. And like 2 days later, there was a story about how Aaron Rodgers called Jordan Love right after the draft.
I didn't even put like a time limit on it or anything. No. Just like a complete jackass. Like, I don't know what my problem was. This is one of those things, like, people, every now and then you see a good tweet on this. Like, you don't have to tweet everything you're thinking.
Yeah.
And that's what I was just stream of consciousness like an idiot. But anyway, as you were, I had to be hard on myself over that yet again, because I cannot believe I did that.
I think there was somewhere subconsciously, there's something really, really broken in there, which you knew that already. That's not the new part. Where you thought, boy, Josh is going to get, a lot of attention for being in pain because of this thing he said on the podcast. I could do that. That's not hard. Any idiot could do that. Hey, I'll eat a ghost pepper. What? Why? Honestly, I think that's what I would do. I think I would be right there doing the same thing. I just happened to go first on this one.
I just want people to like me, I guess. I don't know. I mean, whatever it takes, man. I was just talking. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, I'll eat a hat. And for some reason, I thought eat a ghost pepper would be funnier. Had I said eat a hat, people would have known. They wouldn't have really expected me to eat a hat, though. And so, I mean, at least I don't think so. And so why I said something that can actually be accomplished, that's just more stupidity. But yeah, it would be great if we had Chiefs stuff to talk about. But instead, I really like just delving into how dumb we are to just say things for no reason.
So I understand you not wanting to eat a ghost pepper, at the beginning of your time in Kansas City, because that stinks. I really understand you not wanting to eat it right as you're about to hop in the car for an 8-hour drive or so back to Minnesota. Because I feel like that would turn into a 12-hour drive pretty quickly. Like, it's just a lot of rest stops. But what I want in terms of like the best possible content, again, maybe we talk to our good friends over at Let It Fly and see if they've got a drone and some good cameras for an afternoon. I want you to have the ghost pepper in your left hand and the taser in your right hand and just rip the ghost pepper, chow down on it real quick, swallow, give it about 10 seconds, and then come at me with the taser. And I do think this probably ends in a worse experience for me because I think Ghost Pepper Seth is an angrier, more vengeful god than non-Ghost Pepper Seth. But I do think that video would be incredible.
I think that would be an incredible video, and it hadn't even occurred to me to reach out to Tom or BJ or anyone at Let It Fly Media because they can make anything look amazing.
Yeah.
I have seriously considered asking them what it would cost me to have them come up to Minnesota and do some sort of hype video of me watching film. And I bet it would look incredible. It would just, like, can you imagine just in the background as I'm, like, slipping on my glasses and, making the charts? It would be incredible, fending off one of my ducks as it attacked me.
Love it. Have some ducks in the house. If you handwrite anything, that'll look really epic. I think that'd be wonderful.
This is a good idea. That makes me a little happier. Hopefully, if I make it to Kansas City, it'll be maybe like a 3-day period, maybe the day in the middle. Maybe that'll do it. So no, I'm excited for that. But it's a good time in sports coverage, as you can see.
Yeah. Well, the scary thing is that we are just shortly removed from the draft. Like, it's coming. It's just about here. But I think for both of us, personally at least, I like the week after the draft a little more than the week right before the draft, typically speaking, or the week of, whenever you're actually getting guys that you can be reviewing that are gonna that are Chiefs as opposed to guys who might be. But we might get into some of that. The scary thing is what happens in May and June, because May and June you got baseball and you've got looking ahead to training camp, and those are the dark days. So we're not quite there yet. In fact, I've got a couple of Chiefs things that I figured I'd run by you despite not really having anything new. And because we've had a little bit of a pause, you get kind of a little Easter holiday weekend. Everybody hopefully unplugs a little bit. College basketball national championship game last night. Kind of a little palate cleanser, some space between the Chiefs' recent moves. And I'm curious just how you feel about how the offseason has gone to this point, because we've had several little check-ins, right? Like, we had the immediately after Tooney and whiffing on Trent Williams time, and then after Kyle Long, and then even after Jaron Reed, and then after Austin Blythe, like, you get all of these little signposts where it's clearly a work in progress, but there's still some holes to be filled. Right now, it feels like we've caught our breath a little bit. How do you feel about the moves the Chiefs? Let's start with the ones that they have made up to this point, in kind of in whole and in looking back a little bit.
Sure. The problem is there's very little that's been done, right? When you look at their offseason, and so right now I'm looking at the transaction wire, which has not been updated recently, at least the ESPN one, because it doesn't include the signing of Jaron Reed.
Okay.
So when I look at things from 50,000 feet in the air, the one thing that genuinely bothers me about this offseason. The two things that genuinely, I gave it some thought. There are two things that bother me. One is missing Trent Williams.
Yeah.
That's the obvious one. I really think everyone that's kind of freaking out about like, oh, there's all these holes in the roster. Oh, it's, this, that, and the other thing. I have a feeling that if Trent Williams had signed, and I mean, this is kind of like a duh statement, like, yes, had they signed an elite left tackle, yes,
The
we would
roster
feel
would
better.
be better, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's pretty obvious. So overall, I feel better than I did, a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
By a fair amount. And so when I think of the last check-in you and I had, I think the things that they did. Oh no, here it is, Jaron Reed. I just can't read. Reed, get it?
I knew it. I could hear that one developing. I don't know why I could see that coming so clearly.
My dad jokes have reached a point like full-fledged, like embarrassing my wife in public. It's awesome. Like these are the golden years. These are the good times. Anyway, so since we last talked, I think when we had last talked, they'd signed Tooney, they'd signed Kyle Long, and that was pretty much it.
We talked right after Blythe and Reed last.
Okay. So
and
now
I think just before they had also done that fullback who I refused to spend a lot of time talking about. 'Cause I'm not gonna talk about fullback.
So we've had they've signed Blake Bell. Can't forget about Blake Bell.
I can actually. I'll prove time and time again that I can forget about Blake Bell.
So here's what I'd say. I've had time to sit back and think. We talked about Reed and Blythe kind of as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
They re-signed Demarcus Robinson. And so when I look back now and I think about like the things we were worried about in the immediate aftermath of the big free agency and like, man, why aren't they signing anyone? They just signed Tooney out of the gate and now nothing. They missed on Williams. Holy crap. I'm okay with where they're at, but I'm not thrilled. Yeah. So they kind of, in a way, I think, got kind of lucky with Jaron Reed. He's not a guy who was supposed to be on the market, right? The Seahawks released him, and that gave them the opportunity to snap up a competent, consistent pass rusher who can move all over the field, but is more effective inside, and also has done a lot of the stuff that Steve Spagnuolo likes. Not a superstar, but a guy who has played at a Pro Bowl level and has also played at a well above average level pretty consistently. They needed help along the defensive line, and they kind of got some unexpectedly there. And so one could say they got lucky with that. Them signing Austin Blythe made me breathe a lot easier at the center position because like you and I talked about, and this is something we did, reference last time, is like they didn't have a center. Like,
yeah,
there was this just gaping hole in the roster.
Simply not one.
Yeah. And so now you've got a guy who has proven for multiple years in the league to be a league average offensive lineman. Hey, sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
So where I'm at right now is I'm still a little bit ill at ease with certain things. There's still some uncertainty, especially around left tackle. But everywhere else, you can kind of see where the roster's at. And I don't think it's appreciably worse than the roster they played with last year. Now, I do think it's worse on paper than the roster they started off with last year.
Yeah.
Right? Which is concerning, certainly. Because the reality of Sammy Watkins taking a step back, which he did, and being injured again and stuff, and then Mitch Schwartz's injury and all that stuff, that hadn't set in. So, opening day 2020, they looked a lot stronger than they did down the stretch. But I see, you're still talking a team that, when you look at what the roster they had throughout the season, and basically sleptwalked their way to a 14-2 record.
Yeah.
And that's something, so I'm always kind of like the optimistic guy, but that's something I've actually found myself pushing harder and harder back on recently, is reminding people that while the Super Bowl is the last memory of 2020 in terms of the Chiefs season, and it was a really frustrating one, and some of the holes that they have in the roster did get exposed, and it was really rough, this is still the same team, by and large, that just destroyed the best AFC competition.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the regular season reminder is probably a healthy one. I think they're That's something that I haven't really thought about it in those terms. I think that's probably healthy.
Right. Now, the big thing is making sure they don't take a big step back somewhere, and the offensive line, it remains a concern.
Yes.
I do think that this offensive line iteration has the potential to be better than what their line was last year. And I say that because, again, Schwartz sat out the majority of the year. Mm-hmm. And so Tooney's obviously a huge upgrade. I think Blythe is more or less going to be a similar spot, maybe a little better run blocking. And a lot's going to ride on what happens with the other right guard position. So anyway, all of this is a long road to a short thought to say that I feel okay. The roster hasn't really been decimated. You know, they've lost a name in Sammy Watkins that really didn't bring a lot to the table last year.
Yeah.
Losing Fisher and Schwartz is obviously catastrophic in that it leaves holes to fill immediately. But in terms of last year, Mitch Schwartz didn't move the needle much, as great a player as he is. And I think he's a Ring of Honor guy, even though he wasn't necessarily, he wasn't on the team for a terribly long time, but he played such a massive role in Super Bowl wins. So it's not a denigration of Mitch Schwartz, the player, but it's just the reality is they're going to either have Mike Remmers, who they had most of the year last year at right tackle and was fine, or they'll have an upgrade. And so I feel okay, but man, do I need them to sign one more cornerback.
Well, okay, so
yeah,
this is exactly where I went. I don't know if you caught the inflection on the original question of the moves that they have made so far, because I think still to this point the moves they haven't made are probably still more interesting.
Yes.
I do think it's good to note the 14 and sleepwalking through really 14-1 with the starters, and also important too, as I will continue to do over and over again, note that they did survive without Mitchell Schwartz with Mike Remmers there. They did not survive without Eric Fisher at left tackle.
Yes.
Not because Eric Fisher is the best left tackle in the history of the sport, but because he's a good one, and they didn't and don't have another good one on the roster.
That's a
as
problem.
things stand at this moment. But the thing that actually sort of revved my engine, I guess, that sounds sort of vaguely
Nice.
sexual, and so I don't want to go that path. The thing that got the wheels turning today, that's what I really wanted to say. They got the gears turning. Was somebody tweeted about Bashad Breeland?
You're saying the thing that greased the skids.
That one sounds gross. I don't like that one either. That one sounds sort of fecal.
I have about 18 things that I am like physically jamming. Like I'm like trying to like shove my foot in my mouth to keep from saying something.
That's also bad.
That's gonna get you fired and me canceled.
Well, the thing that give me one more.
No, I can't. I'm telling you, I could kill my entire brand in the next 10 seconds just because I spent too long working in the oil patch. And so, nope. The thing that piqued your interest.
The thing that oiled my patch was that somebody tweeted about Bashad Breeland. And honestly, if you would have had me think about it for a second, I would have gotten this right. But if you would have dug into my subconscious and have found my latest information on Bashad Breeland, I think it would have been that he had signed a one-year deal with the Chiefs. And I had just sort of filed it away. He hasn't, for the record. He's still a free agent. But there was just... There were like a couple of tweets after one of those cornerback deals, and we had talked about it a little bit on the podcast on Times Ours, which you can listen to, pretty much every week, even through the offseason with me and Seth and Nate Taylor. I just kind of have assumed that eventually that was going to get worked out, and it hasn't yet. He's still available. Richard Sherman is still available. KJ Wright's still available. Melvin Ingram's still available. Jadavian Clowney and Casey. Did I say Casey Harrod? I may have said Casey Harrod already. Those guys are all still available, as are Russell Okung and Alejandro Villanueva. And, I don't think the Chiefs need to sign all of those dudes, and plenty of them, I'm sure, are waiting to be kind of the last guy on the market so they get a little bit of the, oh, bleep, we got to sign somebody kind of club.
Right.
But all of those things just kind of, I don't know, I found all of that more interesting at this point in the offseason than I think I did even a week or two ago, realizing like, oh man, there really would be a chance for them to make some more moves. I just can't tell. I don't know if the Chiefs are playing hardball or if they're legitimately pretty much done at this point.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's kind of interesting. Like I've had people that I trust tell me that Jadeveon Clowney doesn't really fit in with what Spagnuolo wants.
Yeah.
Up front.
I also think I've heard people say that he's waiting to get fully healthy before he signs somewhere. He might be the outlier.
Which makes sense. I just think, man, Clowney I think there's just been a consistent, because he got taken as high as he did, and he's been good but not great. It's a tough league for good but not great play. Like Justin Houston is still a free agent. He was good last year and the year before. But I'm curious, like with Melvin Ingram, right? Or KJ Wright, who was good last year. You've got guys that could be signed, and the Bashaud Breeland one is a great example because I am surprised he's not back with the Chiefs yet. But I can't help but wonder if part of that is just maybe he's sitting around and waiting to see, like you said, if there's one of those, as you describe it, oblique moments, like we got to sign someone. Oh, look, here's a guy who's been a solid cornerback for like 5 straight years.
Yeah.
And it's still, it boggles my mind he hasn't gotten more money. He actually is someone that I was thinking of when I was like, I'm breathing pretty easy. Like, I'm not too stressed. The Chiefs have a chance to improve the team through the draft, have a good draft, and I'm going to call it a good overall offseason, considering that they lost who they lost, right? I mean, that's just tough. When you lose a couple guys you're not expecting to lose in the offseason, especially your left and right tackle who've been stalwarts for a half decade, that's tough. Yeah. And so with that in mind, it's like, I think they've done about as well as they could have maybe. If they wanted more of that attitude from me, which I'm sure they just desperately need my approval, Breeland seems like such an obvious signing. Because right now the cornerback room, if I'm thinking of this correctly, is L'Jarius Sneed, Charvarius Ward, and Rashad Fenton as the top 3 guys. And then you've got DeAndre Baker, who we don't know anything about. And that's thin.
Yeah.
And again, I like Fenton. He's played plenty of minutes and he's done all right. I like Charvarius Ward just fine. He's played plenty of minutes, done all right. But Breeland, I would assume, would be the number 2 guy after L'Jarius Sneed if they signed him. And I would feel a lot better about Sneed, Breeland, Ward, Fenton, right? I mean, another competent body. And so if they did that, I feel like it would really open up their opportunities and their options in the draft. So it feels like, I like the way you say that, the moves they haven't made seem more interesting. Because, man, they went like all in on Trent Williams, right? They paid whatever they had to for Joe Thuney. They went all in on Trent Williams, did whatever they could. I think maybe they stopped just shy of the complete farm, I guess, maybe. Because I'm sure they could have outbid San Francisco. But they just reached a point. They said no. And so, but now they've been kind of just conservative since then. Like it's like, people are panicking, but we're not really panicking about this. People are panicking about like the linebackers, and they could just go out and sign KJ Wright, and they're like, no, we're good. People are panicking about the wide receivers, like, we'll bring back DeMarcus Robinson, which, by the way, I'm perfectly fine with. I mean, he was signed back to a very cheap deal, and you can get by the vast majority of the time with Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, DeMarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle. The vast majority of games, like people are, they need that. Most teams would kill to have a combination of Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and DeMarcus Robinson and McCole Hardman. Most teams would kill for that as 4 weapons, but that's mostly because Hill and Kelce are so high end, right?
Right.
And so, I mean, at a certain point we can get greedy. So I would like to see them do more, but I'm happy they brought him back for the price they brought him back. But it removes that necessity, like, man, what are they going to do if they don't get a wide receiver? They just don't have legitimate wide receivers. Well, if the offensive line isn't bad, they're fine. And that's kind of where I'm at. They're fine. Which I'm used to maybe being a little more excited in the offseason, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, I think that's because. So here's the thing. Like, I think that at least with the receiver position, the reason that you're used to being more excited is you say, well, you could get greedy and say you'd like to have another, a third weapon there that's an upgrade over DeMarcus Robinson or McCole Hardman or whatever. And you're right about almost like probably 28 to 30 teams would take the Chiefs' weapons over whoever they have right now. And I'm not sure who the exceptions are. I'm just trying to be vague at the moment.
Right.
But the reason that you say, they could get greedy and also feels like it could be a little more exciting right now is because the Chiefs have been greedy in the terms of weapons on the offense. I mean, Again, it didn't work out the way that even I think they probably thought it would. But they drafted a running back in the first round last year. They did go give Sammy Watkins all that money. Yep. They didn't cut him outright last year. They restructured his deal to keep him around for another season. Like they did take McCole Hardman in the second round, and extenuating circumstances there notwithstanding. Like, that's a position where they have been greedy. They have been greedy at tackle, where they many moons ago drafted Eric Fisher, but then they bring in Mitchell Schwartz and they keep those guys around.
Right.
Then they go chase down Trent Williams, but don't quite get there. They were chasing Juju and couldn't quite get there. And then so they go from these I think many examples of being greedy specifically at those positions. And I say greedy because you've said that, and yes. I think it's a positive generally. It sounds very negative, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't mean it that way. They have wanted to continue to double down on strengths in that regard. And even this year they tried, and then they didn't, and now we're here, and they have not taken any half measures, I guess, other than maybe just bringing back DeMarcus, which he could also be your third receiver, and that would also be good with me, or fourth, whatever. Yeah. So I think that's why we're used to being a little more excited at this point, and you're used to Brett Veach being a little greedier, is because they have been.
Yeah, they normally swing for the fences, it seems like, and do whatever it takes to do so. Yeah. Actually, as we were talking, Greg Rosenthal tweeted out that the Chiefs having $20 million in cap space is a sign their offseason went wrong. And maybe that's another thing is, like, we saw the Chiefs clear out all this room, and then they didn't land Williams. And so I think naturally fans expected them to, just, okay, well, what's the other big swing we could take? And when they didn't, there's some disappointment that naturally comes there, because let's face it, everyone likes new toys. I mean, sure. The interesting thing to me is I'm trying to decide whether I really hate that approach, simply because, yes, you break the bank on a Trent Williams because he's an elite player, a proven elite player, right? Like, every year Trent Williams has been healthy, he has been elite. Like, not really good, arguably the best in the league elite, and a wildly important position. And it's also a position of need for the Chiefs, right? How often do all those things come together where someone's available, maybe the best player at their position, an important position, and a position you need? Like, that's not really the case for any of the other free agents they could have gone after. Yeah. At least not that I can think of. I mean, there were some decent corners on the market that they could have gone after. Mm-hmm. You had a plethora of solid wide receivers. Some of them signed deals that I certainly would have outbid if I were the Chiefs, but some of them didn't. And some of them, got 1 year deals. Like T.Y. Hilton, everyone talked about him as maybe a guy the Chiefs could take a fly on. He got like $10 million this year. I wouldn't pay that for T.Y. Hilton. Yeah. And but I would have probably topped the Corey Davis deal or tried to push a little harder on Juju or whatever. So that, a little bit on each side. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there are some places they could have pushed. And they didn't seem to feel the need to. And so now there's just kind of like this, we're not used to pauses when it comes to Brett Veach. We're used to just going and just whatever it takes. And so I'm curious if they just saw a really rare opportunity with Williams and they said, and maybe it's similar to, if you want to go back all the way to 2017, they had Alex Smith. But they saw a guy they loved in Mahomes. Mm-hmm. And how often are you going to see a guy that you absolutely love as a quarterback prospect that might fall as far as 10? You know what I mean? Like, that you don't have to trade up to the first spot in the draft to get, or, to the third spot or whatever. That was a unique situation, so they were willing to break the bank. Maybe they're willing to break the bank when they see what they view to be perfect fits. And they just didn't see that again after Trent Williams. So that's kind of the theory I have on it. I have no idea whether it's accurate. But yeah, so that's where I kind of land is, it's also kind of funny to me is like the Chiefs have gotten criticized for overpaying a lot the last few years. Mm-hmm. And it seems like this year, Joe Thuney, you could argue they overpaid him. I mean, we'll see how well he plays, right? If he provides elite play, helps Austin Blythe out, and the line seems to stabilize, hey, worth it to me. Mm-hmm. In case you were wondering, that sound was... And so
it was very eloquent.
Thank you. Me speak many good words, and
and guttural noises.
So I think it's just an interesting, different approach where you wonder, like, let's say they have a decent draft and they have another really good season, and they roll $20 million in cap over to next year, which we'll see. I know they've spaced out the hit they took with COVID financials, but also with these new. I mean, have you seen these TV deals? I mean,
yeah, that's real money.
And so I mean, next year, the cap's going up back up to 200 at least.
Yeah,
probably beyond that.
Yeah.
And so maybe they might say as well, things didn't quite work out in the market the way we'd hoped. Let's roll over $15 million for next year and, have plenty of money to spend without having to get creative.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thought. And it's just weird to see them go from wildly aggressive to a little more chill, for lack of a better term. And so I think everyone's now kind of like looking at the draft like, well, are they going to trade like 3 first-rounders to go get Sewell or something?
Well, so this is exactly what I was going to bring up, because I've seen a little bit of that. Because again, so you like, I think the idea that them having $20 million in cap space to sign their season went wrong, I think is a really interesting read. I'm not 100% sure it's accurate, but I think it's really interesting, and I don't think that it's stupid. I'll give you that, right? Like, right. I don't think that that's a totally like false starting point. At the very least, it's interesting. Because I would say that them having $20 million in cap space right now is a sign that their offseason didn't go the best way for them,
Yeah.
But so you mentioned, that Brett Veach is been aggressive to double down on strengths and to really go get somebody they think is a perfect fit. The fact that we're at this point now where, again, we can probably nitpick over the size of the holes at edge and at receiver 2 and at corner, because I think there are reasonable differentiations to make across all of those. There is an absolute super mega black hole at left tackle. Like, there's just simply don't have one on the roster right now. And if the Chiefs missed out on Trent Williams and then don't really care to sign Orlando Brown or Alejandro Villanueva to this point, and maybe that changes post-draft, I don't know. Maybe they're waiting for the draft to see how that goes. But if they're going to get to the draft without signing one of those guys, it would not surprise me nearly as much as it probably should if we found out that the Chiefs were basically moving up to 10 again. I don't think Sewell's going to be there past whatever, like 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure anybody else is really worth moving up like that for. But also, Brett Veach and I have had varying views on prospects before, so what do I know? But that would not stun me. It would not stun me if there was some sort of hole-filling blockbuster, on the way somewhere. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that would not surprise me if that was the route he's going to go, because, like you said, you look at the roster as it currently stands, and there's a few things that you can really notice depending on how things shake out overall. And one of the things that you notice, the first thing is left tackle, right? I mean, everything else, it's like, maybe Austin Blythe plays decently and they just re-sign him next year, or that sort of thing. I mean, LDT, Kyle Long figured out. They've got Lucas Niang there for right tackle for the long-term plan. Their corners, they've got some young guys that they like. And at this point, I trust Brett Veach to find at least a competent cornerback. Like, maybe not a great one, but a competent one. Mm-hmm. Like, in, the 48th round that doesn't exist. But the left tackle thing, that's huge. And it's just this gaping hole. And we've seen Brett Veach willing to do whatever it takes. And someone phrased it this way, I think on Twitter today, and I don't remember who said this, and I apologize, or I'd give you credit if I remembered who said it. But if we see that Veach was willing to essentially do whatever it took, to sign Trent Williams, and was willing to move mountains in terms of contract stuff and get the Chiefs right up against the cap and all that stuff, we should assume that he's willing to move mountains with draft stock or, draft, what's the word I'm looking for? Things that you have.
Assets.
Assets. Goodness gracious.
Also, Matt Connor of Arrowhead Addict tweeted this. I saw this tweet earlier, too.
Matt is good people. Now I feel bad that I didn't remember. Matt, you're good people.
It's okay. I saw it, and so now he got credit for his good tweet.
So I think there's something to be said for that. And what's going to be really interesting to me is the reaction if he does do that. Because currently, the general theme that I'm seeing, and I might even write about this if I have time, like, because people talk about this is an important draft for Brett Veach. I've even said that. There's been a lot of criticism about his previous drafts. Some fair, some I don't think so fair. If he gives up, like, a future first rounder, let's say, so the Chiefs are at 31, let's say, one of the top 3 tackles falls to, like, the late teens or early 20s, probably got to give up a first rounder to get there, right? To move up, say, from 31 to 20, I'm assuming that'd take a first rounder. So they do a first rounder to get there, but it's a tackle people like. Will that be roundly criticized or roundly praised? I have no idea.
Like, so I'm glad that you sort of frame it that way, because I feel like also in some ways we should have to answer that question before it happens for some intellectual honesty, but also in some ways I feel like it's impossible. So I'm going to try to split the difference. The answer to Matt's sort of theoretical question there of if Brett Veach is willing to move heaven and earth for the best tackle in free agency, then why aren't we talking about the same possibility in the draft? The answer to that question for me is the reason that I hope that doesn't happen, and it's that the best way to get stars typically is probably through free agency or immediate impact players, right? The best way to get depth, though, is to draft well with a lot of picks. I mean, it's to draft well in the 4th, 5th rounds where you take your shots, and if you miss on a 5th round pick and I try to hold it over your head as some big whiff, then I'm an idiot. Like, that's never what we're talking about in terms of whatever Veach hits or misses or whatever. But your 2nd and 3rd and 4th round picks, if you get 3 or 4 guys out of a draft class that are a help, like it's the reason that Derek Nottie as a late 2nd round pick, he's not Chris Jones, who was a 2nd round pick, a higher 2nd round pick in fairness, but Derek Nottie's got value. You got to have somebody who can be on the field in that position, and Derek Nottie does it pretty well, and he's also still right now doing it on a rookie contract. You need the picks to do that, though. Like, you can't just do that with undrafted free agents, although Tershawn Wharton, whatever. The thing for me is looking at the list of tackles, Sewell is that guy, right? Like, he's the guy that you would move up for. But then if you're really, really, really confident that there's an absolute Grand Canyon between Rashawn Slater, the Northwestern tackle, Christian Darrisaw, the Virginia Tech tackle, and Tevin Jenkins, Oklahoma State, Samuel Cosme from Texas, Jalen Mayfield from Michigan, Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame, even Alex Leatherwood at Alabama. You've got everything there from a mid-first to an early 2nd round tackle group. And man, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know which of the dudes. I think Sewell is clearly the best bet out of this group, and it seems like most people think Slater is 2nd and Darrisaw is 3rd, and then you get to the guys that we've obsessed over because they're in the Chiefs' range.
Yeah,
but I don't feel incredibly confident that the 2nd or 3rd dude's going to be better than the 5th or 6th one off the board.
And that's the problem.
And so I'd rather keep the picks, right? So I'd rather wait, take my shot at 31, and then still have a 1st next year, still have a 3rd this year, etc.
Right, and I can really understand that feeling. Honestly, that's the reason why it's so hard trading up picks, because I'm the draft is astrology for men type guy. You know what I mean? I loved that tweet, and because of that, I've had a lot of people, and I've been thinking about this. Maybe they're right. Express surprise that I'm also a big will trade up and get your guy kind of guy, because it's astrology. And for me, it's just a matter of how much do you trust your scouting? How much do you really believe it? I tend to feel in my own, we all think we're the exception to the rule, right? Like for me, it's like, well, I can tell if a guy's going to be good. And I'm lying to myself by and large. But it's just all going to depend, and it's such a cliche to say, it's all going to depend on what their board says. Because if their board says, well, okay, we've got Sewell as the clear number 1, and there's, these 2 other guys are a little better than the 3 guys after them, but not much. Do you really trust your process so much that your idea that someone's a little better is worth it? Now, on the other hand, if they say, actually, we've got the top 3 guys kind of grouped together, and we think there's a chasm after that 3rd dude, and he's around, then maybe you go for it. But it is, I think you make a good point, because, again, if the draft is, in fact, a crapshoot, and I think it by and large is, especially after the first 15 to 20 picks.
Yeah.
like if someone's like, well, would you take Devonta Smith? Yes, I would. I think if the Chiefs were somehow even, let's say 3 other receivers went first, and the pick 25 was coming up, and he was still on the board, and Veach started calling people, I think Goodell would stop the draft. Just say, no, guys.
He would do the David Stern thing.
Yeah.
Like, listen, we cannot let this happen.
Guys, we can't do this. Have you seen this guy play? And so there's some guys where you look at, and even those guys bust occasionally, let's be honest.
Sure.
But it's hard for me, like I said, with this gaping hole in the roster. And that's part of the problem with looking at the draft in terms of addressing holes in your roster. And you and I talk about this all the time, that generally speaking, you want to plug big holes in free agency. That's the way to do that. And then you build your team by and large through the draft and through like lower end free agents and churns and that kind of stuff. And I think they tried to do that with Trent Williams and it just didn't work out. So that they while I'm relatively calm about the offseason, they're not in the position I would prefer with the draft.
Yeah, I think that's a good dismount. It's also, I got to be honest, nice to hear a segment of ours end with you being not quite pessimistic, but a little bit like, you know what, guys, it could be brighter outside right now. It honestly makes me feel a little less insane. So thank you very much for that indulgence, Seth. I appreciate it very much. I've also kept you longer than I meant to. My apologies for that. Here's how I'll make it up to you. I'll tell people to go to mnchiefsfan.substack.com or bit.ly/SethHatesMoney for the Chief of the North newsletter. Seth, anytime the Chiefs do anything, there will be a film review about it. There will be a mailbag very, very soon, I imagine. Is there still time to enter for the confetti giveaway?
Yes, there is. I'm going to be picking a winner tonight. And so you need to be a subscriber before tonight. And so if that's what you would like to do, if you just check out the top article, which is open for anyone to read at the Chief of the North newsletter, it's labeled giveaway and mailbag. There's a button in there for you to subscribe for $12 a year forever. I'll never raise the price on you. And yeah, I'm giving away some confetti from the Chiefs Super Bowl win that Danny Welniak was kind enough to put in an adorable little bottle for me. It's really cute. And so if you want to be entered, you got to get in there before the end of the night tonight. So I think tomorrow morning actually is when I'll pick the winner.
Perfect. So you can go to mnchiefsfan.substack.com. Go subscribe. It's $12 a year, not a month, a year, forever, for genuinely just unmatched and unmatchable Chiefs content. So
did I say a month again?
No, I just am clarifying it because I imagine that people are hearing it as a month because, like, the Chief of the North newsletter makes me smarter than Netflix does. So why should it be a factor of 90% cheaper, you know?
Just because I love to provide content.
And that's what we're all in it for, baby. It really, nothing sounds more artistically true than the word content. You know, all the great artists of our time. Van Gogh was at his easel saying, God, I just love making content. Thank you, Seth.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
Squeaky doors, clogged sinks, finicky engines. When things break around the house, you take care of it. However, when something's off in the bedroom, you just try not to think about it. Come on, man, what are you waiting for? Take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/JakeG now. Why Roman? Because you get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/JakeG and complete an online visit. Take care of your ED without leaving your home. Complete an online visit today to connect with a healthcare professional and take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/JakeG now and you'll get $15 off your first month. That's GetRoman.com/JakeG. It's really time to take care of your ED. And remember, get started today and you'll save $15 off your first order of ED treatment.
There's nothing like the sounds of your son learning to dribble, or the sounds of your daughter learning to tap dance. A local family-owned hardwood flooring specialist company wants to help you remember these sounds for the rest of your life with a quality wood floor. Acme Floor has been in business for almost 100 years
and is so entrusted with its workmanship and quality of materials that KU and MU called them to build their wood basketball courts. You may not be looking for a basketball court, but Acme Floor can help you create the sounds and look you want in your home. From the floor at the Nelson Atkins Block Building, UMKC Swinney Rec, the stages at the Kauffman Center, to your kitchen. No project is too big and no budget is too small. If you're looking at laying a new floor, refinish or resurface your hardwood floors, why not call the best? Give Acme Floor Company a call at 913-888-3200. Acme Floor Company works with both residential and commercial customers. Go by their Lenexa showroom at 10100 Marshall Drive. 4-generation family owned and operated.
Let me get right back to you. Sandra, those banners go out tonight. Can you pack them?
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
On machine 4?
Like at Monica's Print Shop. To fulfill orders on time, she needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, this is Justin Cole, Private Wealth Manager at Creative Planning. Over the last few years, we have grown to one of the largest nationally recognized wealth management firms in the country. While we are proud of our success, we are most proud of our Kansas City roots. We were founded in Kansas City and remain headquartered here because there's no place we'd rather be. We are Kansas City strong. Thank you, Kansas City, and thank you to our clients. If you're not a client, we invite you to reach out for a free, no-obligation financial review. You can find us at creativeplanning.com or by calling 913-338-2727.
Let's take a second to think. Are you happy with your job? Maybe it's because your job is not a career. Let's change that by joining Team RMEC Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. If you're looking for a career as an installation or repair technician, then let's talk. There's a reason why RMEC leads the way in the greater Kansas City area, and that's because we treat people right, provide professional industry training, and give our team members the backdrop of a strong brand to stand with. RMEC also provides a market-leading benefits package with a 401k plan, health, dental, life, and vision insurance, as well as paid time off. And let's not forget, the top pay in the industry. This is why RMEC is one of the fastest growing companies in Kansas City. The time to join is now. Let's turn your job into your career today. Visit www.r-mech.com to apply or call 816-920-5955 for more information.
It's April, and it's time to get yourself moving again so you can be fit and healthy by summer. This is Stephen St. John, and with NJ Diet, it only takes 40 days to lose 20 to 40 plus pounds. Their contractually guaranteed money-back program starts with bioenergetically personalized supplements based on your hair, saliva, and blood work. Then, NJ Diet uses DNA testing to create your ideal diet plan and workout regimen to help you keep it off for the rest of your life. Not sure if you can do it alone? Well, NJ Diet is with you every step of the way. You're going to be fully monitored by their certified staff to make sure you're burning fat and not just losing water, so you'll have peace of mind. You'll also have access to the doctor's personal email and phone number. NJ Diet is committed to helping you keep the weight off. No shots, no hormones, no surgery. They have offices close by in Overland Park, and they are available with live online video consultations from home. Call today, 855-5NJ-DIET, or log on to njdiet.com. Go to njdiet.com and lose the weight for good.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Do we have anything to talk about this week? It is just, man, it's been a slow news weekend. It's Tuesday, therefore, it's Seth Keysor time. Beers, I need you to cut the music. Thank you. I was stalling until you would cut the music. And you just took so long, even after previously having a discussion about cutting the music. Seth, will you yell at Beards for me?
With Joshua Brisco.
Beards, I don't want to say you're a terrible person, but I'm not going to say you're not a terrible person. That's,
Thank you.
I'm 50-50. I'm on the fence. We'll see what happens with the music next time.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thanks again to Seth Keysor for joining us as he does every single week. There's been a lot of effort around here over the last week or so as we've tried to figure out the best way for us to try, for the sake of the visual audience on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube, to be able to hear us during the breaks, and because right now it just plays the over-the-air commercials on all of our streaming branches, and that's not necessary. And maybe we could give a little bit of a further peek behind the curtains, or at the very least, maybe just some lo-fi hip-hop beats to study/relax to. But I've discovered, it's just fully dawned on me now that you don't want that, listener.
You don't.
It won't benefit you. If some of those conversations maybe make it to the podcast, which I think if they were good, maybe we could just leave them in. That wouldn't be good for anybody.
Nope.
Because every single commercial break, for me, as really becoming an audience member, is the same. Rudy goes, "Oof," at some point, and I go, "Oh, what?" And he goes, hold on.
First
You'll
off,
have your time.
No,
You'll have your time.
First
You'll
off,
have your time.
this is like it's a little bit of a play-by-play. We're breaking things down as we go. First off, you asked the question.
Yeah, you go.
You know it's a mistake, but yet you still ask.
Well, here's the thing. Is I thought maybe it would be something relevant to my interest or the radio show.
No, it's not.
But Rudy goes, "Oof." I go, "What?" He goes, "Oh, Jokic just did." And at that point, I stopped listening. Later, he goes, it must be really disheartening. I take off the, cup of my headphones so I can hear him clearly, because I want to hear what Rudy says, because I value his input, his insight. I want
number 2.
I want him to feel heard. All of those things.
Take number 3.
It must be really disheartening. Take off your cup. What? Oh, it must be really disheartening to be someone trying to guard Jokic, because. And then occasionally it'll be more of a, what were you guys talking about at one point during the break? Oh, and then Beards will, and so Rudy will turn into, all of a sudden for me, Rudy turns into the teacher from Peanuts. It must be really disheartening to guard Jokic, and wah, 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 wah. And then Beard says, I've been playing this new Stellaris DLC.
Nope, mod, different.
Whatever. Bleep off. I've been playing this new. What is it? What is the name of the game? Stellaris.
Yeah, you're right.
I almost called it Solaris. I wasn't sure if it was a T. I was playing Stellaris, a new Stellaris mod where you can be the Death Star, and I rain down evil from the skies
that
above.
That is not what happened.
But here's the thing: is that
Purely
it doesn't.
Good reasons on why I'm building a giant death laser in the middle of the galactic core. Purely good reasons.
And then these two just have really their own individual conversations.
Yeah.
To no one. No one is listening. God knows I can't possibly be. Because as far as I can tell, Nikola Jokic is the Death Star weapon in Stellaris that the two of them have banded together to use against me, the only other person in the room.
That actually checks out. Yeah, I think that's actually a perfect comp. You nailed it.
Beard's just talking about the NBA draft lottery.
That was Rudy.
And his big board.
That was Rudy.
And then Rudy gives all the insight on all the G League guys that went over to the G League and played over there. And it's just every mother bleeping commercial break is some variant of that. There was something earlier in the show, I don't even remember what it was, but just you guys were just talking. And I had the thought, I wish I would have made a note of what it was, because I've completely forgotten it at this point. We guys were talking about something it was relatively serious. It might have been the NBA big board, the NBA draft big board or something. And I just thought, this is I'm just going to take a day off some weeknight and then be glued to my computer to watch the show on Twitch as you guys just have that conversation for 2 or 3 hours. I think it would be a fascinating experiment. I would absolutely listen to that show. Except for whenever it happens during the commercial breaks. I think people would really, really enjoy it for 2 shows. And then be like, wait a second.
Half a show.
Josh wasn't kidding.
Maybe a segment.
Do either of you feel misrepresented in any way?
Not really.
Good.
Maybe
I still
slightly,
say
but
I'm
not
building
really.
that death laser for good reasons.
Tomorrow we're 8 to 10 again, right, guys?
That's right.
Accurate?
Yeah.
Oh, but Beards won't be here.
Not us. Us two.
The Final Four! Squirtle got knocked out! It's Gyarados, Mewtwo, Pikachu, and Charizard! Bye, Mom!
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.